Hello again, folks. I'm on my walk and talk today, and I think this time I'll separate my videos by topic, so I'll stop when I get to a different topic and maybe make 2 or 3 videos today. I don't know. We'll see. But okay. First of all, I wanted to talk about a recent purchase we made. We finally got ourselves another bread maker. We used to have one decades ago when we were living in Ohio. We had a Panasonic, and loved the bread it was making. And it's kind of stopped working. Then when we moved, I don't know if it was repairable or what, but we gave it to somebody. So for years we haven't had one. We decided to do it again, partially because my wife wants to go to gluten-free bread, and we're not thrilled about the offerings they have at the store, and she wants to try to make bread with organic whole grain rice flour. And those recipes are not 100% rice flour. They have some other things, potato starch and other things in them. But we tried one of those, and it wasn't bad. I mean, gluten-free to me is kind of like eating sawdust, but I believe it's probably better for your health. So it's not quite as enjoyable as other bread, but my wife seems to be happy with it, so we're not making every loaf with that, but see if we can get some cheaper organic whole grain rice flour on the internet. We got some at Harmon's in our local store, and it's kind of pricey. Anyways, oh, by the way, the machine we decided to go, okay, we're gonna do this. Let's go with the Cadillac of Bread Makers. And I did a YouTube search, and every video I could see it where they were reviewing them, that the Japanese brand Zojirushi got the highest marks, and we went for the Cadillac of those. Their biggest bread loaf it makes a 2-pound bread loaf, and it is generally in the shape of a normal loaf of bread, and so we like that for sandwiches and whatnot. And so I'm having fun with it. I can't wait to experiment with some other things, like I have some buckwheat that I bought to cook in the rice cooker, and I thought, hold it, maybe I could grind that in I think we have a Ninja blender that we got at Costco, and I think I'm gonna try and take some of those whole grain buckwheat and make some flour, and maybe not make a whole loaf of it necessarily, but put some of that in the bread and see how that goes. They say buckwheat is a superfood, whatever that means, and so I got looking forward to that. I love buckwheat noodles. Oh, and maybe I don't know how finally I can get the buckwheat ground in my Ninja, with those blades. I don't know how fine it will grind it, but maybe I can get my wife to make some soba noodles with that. I love those in Japan. They're probably the most healthy noodles you can get in Japan. And so, anyways, I'm gonna experiment. We're trying to make America healthy again. No. That leads me to another subject that I'll talk probably on another video, but I love what's going on in Trump's camp, and Anyways, we'll talk more about that later. But so what else? Oh, the sourdough. We're using organic flour, which we already have some of that, so we're using that up. But we also have the ability with this bread maker to make sourdough starter, of course. Make the starter and kind of cook the yeast or whatever it is. Cook this. I think it's you make a small bit of dough, or I'm not exactly sure. I haven't done this yet. And then you use a bit of that in each loaf, and you turn your bread into sourdough. I've heard that something about the sourdough process makes even regular bread much more healthy. And if you're using organic flour and sourdough, I love sourdough bread, but it's done right. So I'm looking forward to making those kind of things. And the one thing about the gluten-free bread that we made, at first I thought, oh, and then it makes sense after I figured it out, but I made it and I was like, hold it, I don't think this is looking like normal dough, and it doesn't look like it's rising, and blah blah blah. Well, when you think about it, it's the gluten in bread that gets bread to rise and then stick together in that fluffy, gooey, doughy texture. So with gluten-free bread, you don't get that. It's more like a muffin consistency, or like a blueberry muffin cake consistency, and it doesn't taste bad. I mean, it's just not fantastic, but it's better than the sawdust you buy at the store. And so it's fun to try different breads. And I hope they try some pumpernickel or some rye bread, not pumpernickel bread, different grains, using ancient grains, that they haven't. I don't know, there's just all kinds of grains. So I remember back when we were in Ohio, 20 years ago, I was kind of getting into that, and I remember buying all kinds of different flours, was spelt, some ancient grains, and different things, and I can't remember the result of it, but I hope to do some of that and enjoying this bread making. And one last thing I'll just mention. Back when we were fairly first married, we would visit Brother Sato in our Daiichi ward. He was the one that translated the first, maybe not the first, second translation maybe, but back in the early 1900s, they translated the Book of Mormon into Japanese. But anyways, he was in his 90s or pushing 100, I think. Anyways, he was on a health kick, and he was into muffin making. Whole wheat muffins. He'd make whole wheat muffins. And I can't remember the ingredients, but I just remember how healthy they taste. It was not a lot of ingredients. Probably not more than 3 or 4 ingredients. The whole wheat muffins. And this is back in our early marriage. Oh yes. Even back then we were trying to be health conscious. Oh, and then I'll mention my kids brought this up last night as we were at my daughter's house. That me and my wife did a vegan diet back, decades ago. We experimented for a year, and I'm telling you, that was a very stressful year. It's not that if you're eating at your own home, it's not impossible to do. but it just makes you just hardly able to enjoy any kind of social activity because there's food there. You can't eat, and it's like, oh, you go to your friends for dinner. I'm sorry, we can't eat this, we can't eat that. It was so stressful. I think we were doing at least. Apologize for the noises on the street. I think we either from the get-go we would eat fish, or maybe we switched to eating fish, and then anyways we try to minimize the amount of red meat that we eat, and don't eat very much red meat. Usually only when we have a Japanese dish like sukiyaki or something that throws some nice, thinly sliced beef in there, and nikujaga. It really adds to those dishes. Oh, it's so delicious. But anyways, so we've tried I think it was not only to lose weight, but to just get generally healthy. But vegan diet was too stressful. I couldn't hack that lifestyle. But anyway, so when we do eat beef, we try to eat organic and grass-fed, and do make healthy choices with the beef. But anyway, so that's all I'll say about. Oh, and then one other thing. I think I'm going to do this back. For a while, I was way into juicing, and it was getting more and more healthy, especially I think soon after my stroke. And just ran out of gas. It was kind of labor intensive, and just kind of ran out of gas doing it. I felt great. Juicing makes you feel great. Not that was the only thing I ate, but like having one of those, carrot and apple juice or something. But my good friend Farland has made these. Chemist by trade, I guess you call him. And anyways, into healthy foods too. And he came up with this, what he calls an elixir, with all kinds. It's got a recipe, all kinds of healthy things in it, including some vegetables for juice. And I think I'm going to start doing that. See if I can streamline it to where it's not so labor intensive. And just cleaning the blender alone is kind of a hassle, but man, you gotta make good choices. The longer I live, the more I'm convinced that our food choices should be our medicine. Anyways, food is your medicine. And I'll plug one Japanese food. There's a thing called natto, and it's very popular, ancient Japanese food. They fermented soybeans, something about this fermenting process, and it makes them gooey, and it's so healthy. I tell you, I'm almost to the point where, it's one of my favorite foods, and I don't eat it nearly enough because it takes a little bit. You gotta froth it up and put a little bit of seasoning in it, and put it over some rice and everything. So, but if I have a bowl of that natto over hot rice with green onions chopped up in it, and vinegar and soy sauce, maybe a little Japanese karashi or mustard sauce. I'm telling you, I rarely feel as good. With most foods, most American diet foods, after you eat, your hunger's gone, but you feel gross. And this, I can't think of another food that makes me feel as good. It's like, hold it, I feel great today. And that is natto. So anyways, I put a big plug into natto. You'll find it in the U.S. in the most Chinese stores or Korean stores or Japanese stores will carry it. It's usually in the freezer. It's in the freezer. You have to let it thaw out at room temperature and mix it up. But oh my heavens, it is a must for a healthy diet, I think. So, and just the last thing I said, when I had my stroke, I happened to have a what was it called? Not a surgeon, but a neurologist, I guess, come to my room, and he was a Japanese intern, intern or studying here in the States. And we got to talking in Japanese, and we were thrilled to have him. But he said the best thing for your stroke, your health, he says, is a traditional, and I say traditional. There's all kinds of things in the Japanese diet nowadays. Any food is done very well in Japan, but the traditional Japanese diet, the stewed vegetables, the pickles, the heavily leaning towards vegetable diet, the natto, the buckwheat, he says that is the best diet you can eat for heart health, for cardiovascular kind of issues. So I wanted to put a plug in for that. So anyways, that's all I'll say about that. Probably ran longer than I wanted to, but I think I have some other things I'll talk about on a different video. Thank you very much for listening.